Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going deep into the world of depression treatment, focusing on how we understand this complex condition and how that understanding has shaped the medications we use over the years.
Right.
We've got some really, really fascinating excerpts from this article. It's called The Evolution of Depression Treatment, a Scientific Journey.
It really is quite a journey. You wouldn't believe all the twists and turns.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Accidental discoveries that completely changed the field.
Wow.
Yeah. Starting with, a tuberculosis drug in the 1950s.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine, finding a treatment for depression while you're researching something totally different?
I mean, it's amazing how these things happen in science, right? It reminds me of, Alexander Fleming and penicillin. Just these huge breakthroughs that happen kind of by chance.
Yeah, and this is what happened with aproniazid.
Aproniazid,
yeah.
Okay.
So it's a story that really shows how much these chance discoveries or serendipity can play a role in breakthroughs.
But before we get too deep into that,
Sure.
I'm curious, what was the prevailing thought on depression before we had medications like aproniazid?
Well, in the mid-20th century, the biological basis of depression was largely a mystery.
Okay.
Treatment was mostly about psychotherapy.
Right.
And, medications as we know them today just didn't exist. It was those unexpected mood-boosting effects of aproniazid that really changed things.
Yeah, so this tuberculosis drug, it changed how we treated depression, but also how we understood it.
Totally.
It's amazing how one finding can impact an entire field.
Absolutely. Aproniazid turned out to be a monoamine oxidase inhibitor.
That's a mouthful.
I know. We call those MAOIs for short.
Okay.
But what's fascinating is that the MAOIs work by preventing the breakdown of these key neurotransmitters.
Okay.
Like serotonin, noradrenaline, and dopamine.
Oh, wow. So it's affecting those key brain chemicals.
Yeah. And this discovery actually led to the monoamine hypothesis. The idea that depression might be linked to low levels of these neurotransmitters.
Like it's a chemical imbalance in the brain.
Exactly. It's like suddenly having a new way to look at the brain and how it malfunctions in the case of depression.
Yeah.
And to support this hypothesis, we saw the development of tricyclic antidepressants.
Tricyclic antidepressants. Okay.
Yeah, which also targeted those monoamines.
So it's all stemmed from that one accidental discovery.
Exactly. One chance finding really shifted the whole landscape of depression research.
Okay, so we have these early antidepressants targeting monoamines.
Right.
But I imagine they weren't perfect?
Unfortunately, no.
The article mentions some pretty bad side effects.
Yeah, tricyclic antidepressants were effective.
Okay.
But they came with a whole bunch of side effects.
Like what?
Well, one particularly notable one was the cheese reaction.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that. But remind me what that is again.
Okay, so people taking MAOIs had to be incredibly careful about what they ate. Because certain foods, like aged cheese, could cause dangerous spikes in blood pressure.
Because of how it interacts with the medication.
Exactly.
Wow.
And beyond dietary restrictions,
right,
there were concerns about overdoses, too.
Oh, wow.
Especially for patients struggling with suicidal thoughts.
So it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah, these early antidepressants were powerful.
Okay.
But they were also a bit risky.
So a big win in terms of understanding the biological side of depression, but still a long way to go to find a safe and effective treatment.
And that's where the next chapter of our story unfolds, with the introduction of Prozac.
Prozac. Now, that's a name most people have at least heard of.
Yeah.
It seemed to really change things.
It did.
But how was it different from those earlier antidepressants?
Well, Prozac, or fluoxetine, marked a significant shift.
Yeah.
It belongs to a class of drugs called selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors.
That's another mouthful.
I know. We call them SSRIs.
SSRIs, okay.
So unlike earlier antidepressants, SSRIs focus specifically on serotonin.
Okay.
Leaving the other neurotransmitters relatively untouched.
So a more targeted approach.
Exactly.
Which I'm guessing led to fewer side effects.
Precisely. SSRIs like Prozac were a huge step forward in terms of safety and tolerability.
Yeah.
And this had a tremendous impact on people's lives.
Oh, I bet.
The article highlighted Mohammed Mawi's experience.
Okay.
And it's a powerful reminder of how these discoveries can truly change someone's life.
Yeah. His story is incredibly moving.
Yeah.
To go from the depths of depression to a place where you can function again is a huge testament to the power of these medications.
Yeah.
But as with any medical treatment, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, is it?
Right. While SSRIs have helped millions, They don't work for everyone.
Okay.
And they often take time to become effective.
Mm-hmm.
Take Becca's story, for example.
Okay.
Her experience highlights the challenges many patients face.
Like what?
Well, like finding the right medication,
Right.
managing side effects,
Yeah.
and navigating the often difficult process of withdrawal.
Yeah, that can be a challenge.
It can.
So it's a reminder that while we've come a long way,
Yeah,
there's still a need for better treatment options,
definitely.
especially for those who haven't found relief with those traditional antidepressants.
Right.
Which brings us to another surprising turn in our story. Ketamine.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Ketamine.
It's not what you typically think of for depression treatment, is it?
Not really. The drug known for its recreational use enters the stage.
Right.
And completely shakes up our understanding of depression.
Okay, I have to admit, the idea of ketamine as a depression treatment is pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It doesn't exactly scream mental health breakthrough.
I know, right?
But I'm definitely intrigued.
Okay.
What led to this unexpected discovery?
Well, ketamine has a long history as an anesthetic.
Okay.
But what's truly remarkable is its ability to produce these rapid and potent antidepressant effects.
Wow.
Especially in patients who haven't responded to other treatments.
So the people for whom nothing else is working.
Yeah, we're talking about relief within hours, sometimes even minutes.
Really?
Compared to weeks or months with traditional antidepressants.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
It is.
That kind of rapid response is unheard of with the older medications.
Right.
So I imagine researchers are really trying to understand how it works.
Oh, yeah.
Especially since it seems to challenge everything we thought we knew about depression.
You're absolutely right. And here's the kicker.
Okay.
Ketamine's antidepressant effects seem to be completely independent of the monoamine system.
Okay, wait, so if it's not about serotonin or dopamine,
Yeah.
then what's going on?
Well, that's the million-dollar question.
Right.
Research is still ongoing.
Okay.
But current thinking points to ketamine's impact on a different neurotransmitter
Yeah.
called glutamate.
Glutamate.
Yeah, specifically, it seems to strengthen connections between neurons
Oh, wait.
in brain regions associated with mood and emotion.
So instead of raising levels of those neurotransmitters, it's enhancing the brain's ability to make and maintain healthy connections.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
It's like rewiring the brain.
Right.
Okay.
Ketamine is essentially forcing us to rethink our approach to depression treatment.
Wow.
But as with any new therapy,
Yeah.
there are still a lot of unknowns.
Like what?
Well, we need to consider long-term safety,
Accessibility.
potential for misuse.
Mm-hmm.
These are all crucial factors that need more investigation.
It sounds like ketamine's entry has been both groundbreaking
Yeah.
and a bit of a head-scratcher for researchers.
It definitely has. It's really highlighting how complex depression is
Yeah.
and the need for a more nuanced understanding
Okay.
that goes beyond just manipulating neurotransmitter levels.
So with all these twists and turns, where do we go from here?
Well, that's a question we'll delve into in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
But one thing's for sure. We need to broaden our horizons
Okay.
and explore approaches that go beyond just medication.
All right. I'm ready. Let's take a short break.
Okay.
And we'll be back soon to explore those alternative approaches.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of depression treatment.
Yeah.
We've gone through, the accidental discovery of antidepressants,
Right.
the rise of SSRIs.
Prozac.
Yeah, exactly. And the emergence of ketamine. Now let's explore those alternative treatments that go beyond just medication.
Absolutely. We can't forget about the power of the mind
Right.
and the body in healing.
Mm-hmm.
Psychotherapy, for example,
Yeah,
has long been a cornerstone of depression treatment.
absolutely. And I know one type of therapy that's often mentioned alongside medication is cognitive behavioral therapy, or
Yeah.
CBT.
CBT is fascinating
Yeah.
because it gets to the root of how our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors all intertwine.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about dwelling on the past,
Okay.
but recognizing negative thought patterns and developing healthier coping mechanisms.
So it's like retraining your brain
Yeah.
to respond differently to challenges. Exactly. Almost like rewiring its software.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
CBT empowers individuals to become more aware of their thought processes and challenge those automatic negative thoughts.
That can contribute to the depression.
Right, those feelings of hopelessness and despair.
Okay, so it's like giving people the tools
Yeah,
to become their own therapist.
just a way, yeah.
That's really interesting. And speaking of empowering approaches,
Yeah.
the article also highlighted exercise as a potential game changer.
Right.
We all know physical activity is good for us,
Mm-hmm.
but how does it actually help with depression?
Well, we used to think of exercise mainly for its physical benefits.
Right.
But research is showing a much deeper connection between physical activity and mental well-being.
Interesting.
It turns out exercise has a big impact on brain chemistry.
So beyond just the endorphin rush, what's happening in the brain when we exercise?
Exercise actually stimulates the growth of new brain cells.
Wow, really?
Particularly in areas like the hippocampus, which plays a crucial role in mood regulation and memory.
And it's not just about intense workouts, right?
No, not at all.
Even moderate exercise can help?
Yeah, even a brisk walk a few times a week can have significant benefits.
So taking a walk in nature?
Yeah.
It's like a workout for our brains.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about the social aspect of exercise.
Oh, right. Like group activities?
Yeah, joining a sports team, a hiking group, or even just exercising with a friend can provide social support and a sense of community.
Which are so important.
They're crucial for mental well-being.
It's a holistic approach to treatment.
It is.
It's addressing mind, body, and social connections.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about a treatment that I think carries a bit of a stigma.
Okay.
Electroconvulsive therapy.
Or ECT.
ECT, right?
ECT has a somewhat controversial history.
Yeah.
Often depicted in a negative light. You know.
In movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's important to separate fact from fiction.
Right.
ECT has come a long way and is actually a very safe and effective treatment.
Really?
For severe depression.
Wow.
Particularly when medication hasn't worked.
So it's not like the barbaric shock treatment it's sometimes portrayed as.
Not at all. It's a highly controlled procedure performed under general anesthesia, and the electrical stimulation is very brief and targeted. While we're still studying the exact mechanisms.
Yeah.
We know that ECT can induce changes in brain chemistry. And stimulate new brain cell growth.
Interesting.
Much like exercise.
So we're seeing a theme here.
Yeah.
The idea that stimulating the brain, whether through therapy exercise or ECT, can have a big impact on mood and well-being.
That's a great observation. And it speaks to the brain's amazing ability to adapt and change.
What we call neuroplasticity.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered some powerful alternative approaches.
We have.
But the article also hinted at something even more groundbreaking.
Oh, yeah.
The possibility of personalized medicine tailored to an individual's biology.
Yeah, it does sound futuristic.
It really does.
But with advancements in brain imaging and genetic testing, this vision is becoming more and more attainable.
I can imagine. But how would this work in practice?
Well, imagine being able to identify specific biomarkers in the brain. Or unique genetic variations. That could predict how someone will respond to different treatments.
So no more trial and error?
That's the goal.
We could know right away what would be most effective.
Exactly. And with ongoing research into genes, brain circuitry, and environmental factors, personalized medicine for mental health is becoming a reality.
It's incredible to think about the possibilities.
It is.
Especially for people who haven't found relief with those traditional approaches.
Absolutely.
So from accidental discoveries to personalized medicine, the journey of depression treatment has been pretty remarkable.
It really has.
But before we get too carried away with the future, I want to go back to a point made by psychiatrist Philip Boyce.
In the article, he emphasized that just fixing depression with medication isn't enough. We also need to fix society.
That's such an important point.
It is.
It often gets overlooked.
I think so, too.
You know, we can develop the best medications and therapies, but if we don't address the root causes of suffering, we're only treating the symptoms, not the disease.
So what are some of these societal factors?
Well, think about chronic stress, poverty, lack of access to good health care and education, discrimination, social isolation.
It all takes a toll.
All of these can chip away at our mental well-being and make us more vulnerable to depression.
It's like we're trying to put out a fire.
But
the house is built on kindling.
That's a powerful image.
We're not addressing the root of the problem.
Exactly. We need individual treatments, like therapy and medication, but we also need societal changes that address systemic issues.
Like poverty and inequality.
Exactly. Okay, so it's not just about treating the individual. It's about creating a healthier, more equitable society.
That supports mental well-being for everyone.
It's a big task.
It is. But it's crucial for driving real change.
Right.
And creating a future where depression is no longer a silent epidemic.
But something that's addressed and treated and prevented.
Absolutely.
This deep dive has been so thought-provoking.
It has.
We've covered so much.
Yeah, from the history of medications to personalized medicine and the role of societal change.
Right now, let's venture into those cutting-edge research frontiers that are really pushing the boundaries of depression treatment.
I'm ready.
Welcome back to our exploration of depression treatment.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground, but the quest for knowledge never really ends.
Right.
So are you ready to dive into some cutting-edge research?
I am.
That might just redefine how we approach depression in the future.
Absolutely. It's a really exciting time to be in this field.
Okay.
We've made remarkable progress, but there's still so much we don't know about depression.
Right.
But these new research avenues are opening up all the time.
Yeah.
It's really challenging our assumptions and offering glimpses into potential breakthroughs.
The article mentioned a couple of those intriguing new avenues.
Okay.
Like the role of inflammation and gut bacteria. I have to admit, those seem like unlikely players in mental health.
They do, don't they?
Yeah.
But that's what makes science so fascinating.
Right.
It often leads us down these unexpected paths.
Yeah.
For a long time, we viewed depression as a brain-based disorder, but now research is revealing a much more intricate picture.
Okay.
It's this interplay between our brains, our bodies, and even the trillions of microorganisms living inside us.
So it's not just what's happening in our heads, but a complex web of interactions happening throughout our whole system.
That's the emerging picture.
Wow.
And it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Let's take inflammation, for example.
Okay.
We usually associate inflammation with physical injuries or illnesses.
Right.
But research is showing a strong link between chronic inflammation and depression.
So our immune system could be playing a role in our mental health.
That's what the evidence suggests.
That's fascinating.
It seems that when our immune system is always on high alert, it can trigger changes in the brain that contribute to mood disorders.
Wow.
Like depression.
That's incredible. And what about gut bacteria?
Okay.
How could something in our digestive system possibly impact our mental state?
Well, remember how we talked about the brain's ability to adapt and change?
Right.
Our gut microbiome.
Okay.
That's that vast community of bacteria in our intestines.
Right.
Is in constant communication with our brains.
Really?
Through what we call the gut-brain axis.
Okay, so a two-way communication highway between our gut and our brain.
Exactly.
But how could bacteria send signals to our brains?
These tiny organisms are much more sophisticated than we thought.
Okay.
They produce a wide range of chemicals that can influence our mood, our sleep, even our cognitive function.
And if something disrupts this ecosystem...
Yeah, like an imbalance of good and bad bacteria, it can have ripple effects on our mental well-being.
So you're saying that something as simple as what we eat could influence our risk of depression?
Exactly. Through its impact on our gut microbiome.
That's amazing.
And this opens up so many new treatment possibilities.
Like what?
Probiotics, prebiotics, even fecal transplants.
Wow.
These are all being explored as ways to manipulate the gut microbiome.
Okay.
And maybe alleviate those depressive symptoms.
It's mind-boggling to think that something we considered waste could be key to understanding and treating a mental health condition.
Right.
But as fascinating as this gut-brain connection is, I also want to hear more about those personalized treatment approaches you mentioned.
Okay. Yeah, that's another area where research is moving incredibly fast. With advancements in brain imaging and genetic testing.
Right.
We're getting closer to predicting how individuals will respond to different treatments.
Based on their biology.
Exactly.
It would be amazing to eliminate that trial and error process that so many people go through.
Absolutely.
When trying to find the right medication or therapy.
Imagine being able to analyze someone's brain scans or genetic profile.
Okay.
And say, this treatment is very likely to work for you.
Based on their biology.
Yeah, that's the future of personalized medicine.
Wow.
And it has the potential to revolutionize mental health care.
It's a future I'm really excited to see unfold.
Me too.
But we can't forget that science is an ongoing journey.
That's right.
There's still so much we need to learn.
We need to be cautious about overhyping any new discovery or treatment.
Of course.
Thorough research and testing are essential.
To make sure they're safe and effective. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement. Yeah. But we have to approach these advancements with critical thinking.
Absolutely. And it's also important to remember that behind the science, behind the statistics, are real people struggling with this condition.
People like Mohammed and Becca.
Exactly.
Their stories remind us that depression is not just symptoms.
Right.
It's a lived reality.
Of profound impacts on people's lives.
So we need to approach this topic with scientific rigor.
Yeah.
But also with compassion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The quest for better treatments has to be driven by a desire to alleviate suffering and help people live full and meaningful lives.
This deep dive has been truly eye-opening.
It has been a journey.
It really has.
Yeah.
It's clear that the world of depression treatment is constantly changing.
It is.
With new discoveries all the time.
Yeah. It's been amazing, hasn't it?
It really has.
From those accidental discoveries to personalized medicine, the mind-body connection, the gut microbiome.
Right.
We've explored so much.
And I think the most important takeaway
is that we need to stay curious, open to new ideas, and committed to pushing the boundaries of understanding and treatment.
Absolutely, because ultimately the goal is to create a world where everyone has the opportunity to experience mental well-being and live a life free from depression.
And with that, we wrap up our deep dive into the evolution of depression treatment. We hope this exploration has been insightful and given you some new perspectives.
I think so.
Until next time, keep learning. Keep questioning.
And seeking knowledge.
And most importantly, take care of yourselves.
And each other.